Hi everybody, this is a tutorial video for Beyond the Blue Neon. It's a great Western swing song written in 1988 by Larry Boone and Paul Nelson. They recorded it, and then I think most people would know this from the George Strait version. He recorded it and named the album the title of the song. So if you're not familiar with the song, I suggest you go to YouTube and have a look to get an idea of what the melody is like. I decided to do a video of this song because I think there are a lot of things in this song. If you approach the song a little bit with an open mind, a lot of things the advanced beginner or intermediate player can learn from this song about different chord shapes and playing up the neck and sort of taking that next step in your playing. There's a lot of little pieces in the song that you can learn from and apply to your playing in other areas. So what I'm going to do is just break it all down very slowly and make commentary along the way to hopefully be helpful in your playing. So let's start right out. The introduction, a little odd. We're going to start with a diminished chord, B diminished. I'm just going to make that shape for you here. First string, first fret, then the third string, first fret, and then I'm going to come in with my third ring finger on the second string, second fret, and finally the last string with my pinky on the second fret as well. I just want to make a note. I can't stress enough how important and what kind of mileage you get out of learning this shape. I know it's all four fingers and people hate using their pinky, but you get so much mileage out of learning that diminished shape. It's really worth your effort to practice until you can do it, because you can slide this all up and down the neck and you get all the diminished chords basically for free, because there's really only one shape. There's this shape and you slide it up and down and you get all the diminished chords, and then there's the one easy one that you play here at the first fret. And really all that is, if you think about it, is the nuts doing the work for you. So if I just kind of put two of my fingers past the nut, see, I'm making that same shape, but I'm just really, the string I'm contacting is here, the second and third string at the first fret, and the nut is doing the rest of the work for me. But if I just slide that up a fret, there, see how I'm out where I was before? Let that chord be diminished. I'm gonna adjust the camera just a little bit. There we go. All right, so we're just gonna start on that B diminished. And if you listen to the recording, there's a little piano introduction. And so it goes from a B diminished on just one beat of that into a C minor 7. And that's just going to be barring that whole third fret. So it's going to be, I'll just hum the introduction. Ba 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 ba. Oops. Ba 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 ba. All right. Again, that simple bar across all the strings. Very important to practice that and learn it, because you're going to, again, another thing you get a lot of mileage out of, and something that's key to this song, to making it sound kind of swingy. A lot of mistakes beginners make with the barring is they bar too low with their finger. You want to choke up a little bit because you're going to have more leverage. And if you can't make it with one finger, make it with two fingers. Just take the middle finger, put it on top, and you've got now the strength of two fingers backing you up. All right. If the chord doesn't sound right, what I suggest you do is make your chord shape and pluck individual strings to figure out which of the strings is causing you trouble. So if I try to make see, I've got a buzz there. Now I know I've really got to work on my positioning to kind of get that string down. So notice on the back of your finger, you've got ridges. So if where you're putting the finger happens to put a ridge or a dip right where the string is, you might have a dead string or a buzzing string. Just try to move, just make a little millimeter movement and see if that helps. Okay, and eventually over time, you'll learn where you need to put where the best place for your finger is, and if you do it enough, it's just going to be automatic. All right. So back to the introduction, we're just going to have a beat of B diminished. Da 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 da. C minor 7. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a funky walk down. And I'm just going to take this barred shape, I'm going to slide it up 1 fret, 2 frets to the D minor 7th. Okay, so just the chord transposition. If that's B minor 7th, this is C minor 7th, C sharp minor 7th, D minor 7th. All right. So we started with C minor 7th, da 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 da, up 2 frets, D minor 7th, da, and I'm just going to walk that down to C sharp minor 7th, da, da, back to the C minor 7th. Okay. So how that looks in kind of at speed, you know, B diminished, da 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 da. All right. So from there, the introduction goes ba 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 to an F7th, and I'm making the 4-fingered F7th. Again, highly recommend that you try to learn this if you can, because again, this is a movable shape. I can put this anywhere I want, and I'm getting 7th chords all the way up the neck. So I'm going to get, if just as an example, I'm F7th here, F sharp 7th, G 7th. See that's a G7. Another way to play G7. G sharp 7, etc., etc. So again, I highly recommend that you, if you can, try to practice and learn that 4-fingered version, the closed shape version or movable version. If you can't do that, play the 3-fingered version. Just disregard the pinky. When I started playing, I played F7 this way a long time. If you can't do that, just play a regular F. F is going to sound okay. No one's going to notice. So if you can't, play the 2 fingers. If you can, go to 3 fingers. Ideally, go to 4 fingers. And then we're going to go into B flat. Go to the B flat. Again, some people have trouble with B flat. So a couple of things you can do. You could play G minor 7th. Again, I don't think anyone's going to really notice. Again, if you stick your strumming down to the strings where your fingers are, it's just not going to sound that much different. See, the difference is very subtle. That's one way to go. Excuse me. You could also, it's hard to show here. Some people have trouble barring those 2 strings to make the B7. That's the issue, right? The finger comes up and then they get here. So what you can do is, if you can just touch that A string, you'll kind of deaden it, and then you can strum through. And then again, if you know you're doing that, stick to the top strings and just try not to emphasize that bottom string. So now you're kind of just playing those top 3 strings. And so that's it. Just depends on your personal situation where your issue is. So when you're strumming, you just try to emphasize those top strings. So full B flat, that's the way to go. Because again, this is a movable shape. You get major chords all the way up the neck. And you get B flat, you get B, you get C, C sharp, D, right, et cetera, et cetera. Again, that's the ideal way to go. If you can't do that, in this situation, G minor 7th is okay. If you can make that bar, if that's not your issue, and it's just the ring finger that is the issue. If the barring of the 2 strings here is the issue, I would try to make the B major 7th shape, just the stair step shape, and then either just try to miss this string, or just lay your finger down a little bit and deaden it, and just try not to emphasize that string when you strum. Just try to miss that string. Okay, so a couple of tips there. So how does that go? So let's just play it from the top. Ba 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 ba. Okay. Then the last part of the introduction is a pretty standard vamp in B flat. So we do vamps. Probably most people who play the ukulele get familiar with the Hawaiian vamps. So for example, if I was playing in C, I would start with the 2 chord, the D7th. So if I was playing some Hawaiian song in C, G7 back to C, and I can just keep doing that over and over again until I'm ready to start playing. That's why it's called a vamp. You're just vamping until you're ready to start playing. So this is a vamp. It's just a different vamp. So I'm going to start with the B flat because that's the key for the vamp. And then I'm going to go back to that B diminished shape that we played before. Then I'm going to go to that C minor 7th shape that I did before. And back to the F7th. So everything I said before about those chords, about substituting G minor 7th or substituting the regular F or the 3-finger F7, all that applies to the vamp as well. Okay. So that whole introduction I'm just gonna hum the piano notes. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. All right. So now we're ready to get into the song proper. So we're playing in B flat. It's a good chance the first chord of the song is going to be B flat. But instead of playing it here, this part of the song is just a big walk down. So what I'm going to suggest that you do is I'm just going to suggest that you start up here at the 5th fret with your regular G shape. So here's where here's sort of where some of the learning starts. So G, this shape here is your regular G major chord. I mean, it's one of the first 5 or 6 chords you learn when you're a beginner. And what we're going to do is we're just going to move this up the neck to get a B flat. And the way I do that is I'm just going to count up just to demonstrate. So here's a G, and I'm just going to emphasize these lower strings here because I'm going to leave this string open for ease of use or ease of play. So G, right? The next, if I move up a fret, I'm at G sharp. If I move up a fret, I'm at A. So see how that's the same chord? A, right? So if I move up a fret from there, now I'm at A sharp or B flat. I'm at the 5th fret. And this is if you ever wondered why there are dots here, one of the reasons is when you're trying to if I'm going from where I'm going to end up the intro at F7, and I'm going to try to end up at B flat up here on the neck. Having the dot there gives me something to aim for. So I know I'm going to make my G shape right at that 5th fret dot. So there's a dot there to give me a marker. So one of the reasons there are dots up here, if you ever wondered. So now, technically speaking, if you were going to play a B flat up here and you wanted to play a closed shape, probably the way to go is to use this 2nd position shape for G and slide it up. So just to explain how this works. So this is G in the 2nd position. But how this works musically is I'm just going to back up here. So now if I'm doing let's say I'm making an F, right? That's another chord you just learned very early on. Sorry. Is if I make an F here. Now again, if I think about this, the nut is doing some work for me. So if I did this, I barred past the nut, and now I make my F shape here. So I'm still playing F, but you can see that the nut is doing some of the work. Now I'm going to slide up, And this is F sharp, and maybe some of you have played F sharp before. Now if I slide up again, okay, now I'm playing a G, another way to play G. So this is G, and this is G. Oh, sorry, and that's G. So that's G, and that's G. Then I just do the same thing I did before just to see how this works. If I slide up a fret, G sharp. If I slide up a fret, A. And if I slide up another fret, A sharp or B flat. So if I was covering everything, then a full movable shape, that's how I would do it. But I'm trying to make this song accessible for beginners, and I think, and I do this all the time, that this G major shape, I think of it as kind of semi-movable, because I can, if I just don't worry about this string and slide it up here, see, it doesn't sound terrible. You know, and I use this all the time. So if I'm playing sort of a Latin flavored song, I can do kind of a stereotypical. And I'm not even worrying about this string. I'm hitting it, and it doesn't sound too bad. Now, if I'm equipped with a high G, if you have a low G, then now you're gonna have to make some decisions, because it really isn't gonna say, it's not gonna. I tried it on my low G stringed uke, and it doesn't sound right. So you've got a couple options. You can really try to just not play that string, and that's a lesson that people who play guitar learn right off the bat. Is that certain chords, you know, particularly those low wound strings up here, on certain chords you just don't play those strings. But ukulele players never learn that lesson right off you always play every string every single time. But here's your opportunity to learn that lesson, that sometimes you just skip a string. So if you have that low G and it doesn't sound right to you, and it's not really going to sound right. Just you got to really work on missing that string. Okay, that's option one. Option two is you can use your thumb, pull it over the top, and just touch that G string to deaden it. So now you can play that, and that string is just going to kind of be muted. See how it doesn't even ring out? And if you watch guitar players, a lot of times you'll see on certain times they'll do that, and that's what sometimes they're pressing down to engage the string, and sometimes they're pressing down to mute, so they don't have to worry about their strumming. They know they have to deaden that string, or they're not supposed to play that string, but they want to just be able to strum freely, so they'll just kind of lay their thumb on that string to deaden it, so you can play it. And of course, the last option is just to simply play the movable shape. Oops, play the movable shape. All right, so if you have the low G, those are your options. But for the rest of us, we're going to start the song in B flat, but we're starting up here. We're not going to play B flat here. We're going to play B flat here. And now, by doing that, I've given myself room up the fretboard to walk this down, to do this walk down that's so great in this song. All right, so here we go. So we're going to do the B flat, and I'll kind of sing the words here. Swinging doors, and I'm just going to slide down one. Sawdust floors, and then we're going to come back up to B flat. The heartache drowns as the whiskey pours. All right, let's go over that slowly. I'm starting off on this new B flat we learned. So I'm going to do this for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slide down to G sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slide back up to B flat. Give it 2. 1, 2, and now I'm gonna do these. I'm gonna slide down to G sharp for 1 beat. Then I'm gonna slide down to, where am I at? I'm at A here. Sorry. I'm sorry. So I'm at B flat here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to be at A. Sorry. 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to do 2. 1, 2, A. Then I'm going to slide down to A flat or G sharp. Now I'm at regular G. Then I'm going to slip to the G7. Okay, play that one more time, sort of at speed. Swinging doors, sawdust floors, the heartache drowns as the whiskey pours. All right. So, besides, sounding super cool, visually, I think it makes sense, right? This is a walk down from a B flat chord, and you can see that you're walking this slowly down the neck, and you're going to make a seventh along the way at the end there. So I think visually, it helps you remember how to play the song, for one, without looking at looking at the chord sheet. Because once you've got it here, you say, well, I'm just walking this down. Okay, you just need to learn the beat pattern to walking that down. Just one more time. Swinging doors, sawdust floors, the heartache drowns as the whiskey pours. All right. Okay, from there, we're going to go back up to, from the G7, we're going to go to the C minor 7th. There's a hole in the wall, down to F7th. From some free for all. Again, everything I said before about substituting an F or a 3-finger F all applies. Then I'm going to make regular B flat, and I'm going to do that. If you look at the chords here, there's that vamp again. And the ring and crack, the diminished chord, crack of that old, back up to C minor 7th, old cue ball, F7th. Okay. So I'm going to start here. While the whiskey pours, there's a hole in the wall, from some free for all. The ring and crack of that old cue ball. And then from there, we're going to do the verse again. It's a little different at the end, but the beginning is the same. We're going to go back up to that B flat walk down. Okay? Just saying it the exact same way we did it before. Been falling in here for what seems like years, where the tears of the lonely belong. Then I'm going to go back to the C minor 7th. I wonder what's going. Okay, so here's where the verse differs from the first verse. The first verse is different from all the other verses, and all the rest of them are like this. So I'm starting at the G7 at the end of that walk down. What's going on? Now, on is your word to make this change. What's going on? Just like in the introduction, I'm going to slide that up to the D minor 7th. And then walk it down back to the C minor 7th. Okay, just like we did in the introduction. So the on is the word to start that walk down. I wonder what's going on beyond the blue neon, F7, blue neon. All right, and now at this point, what we're gonna do is we're going to transition into the bridge. All right, so here's that transition. Beyond the blue neon, I'm at B flat, right? And then I'm gonna slide up to the C minor 7th, so no chords we haven't done before. And then the next chord it calls for is an A. So you've got some options here. So you could come back here. Could do that. What I generally do is I'll make I'll make that second position G shape slide up. Okay, so where was I? Slide up. So all I do is take my bar, slide it up a fret, and then make the F shape here at the bar. If you can see that. Okay, and from there you're going to go to B flat. I'm going to do a regular B flat there. And then it goes to B flat major 7th. And all you have to do there is lift. So you're making for B7, you're making a bar here. Just lift that finger up and just make that 1. So it's just 1, 2, 3, and this the A string is open. And then you're going to go into the bridge. The chord on the bridge is B flat 7. So this is something maybe you already know. If you play a B7, if you play a B7 like this, if you want to play a B flat 7, just slide it back 1. Okay, so let's do that again. Okay, beyond the blue neon. Slide up to C minor 7. I'm going to play the A up here. Then B flat major 7. And then into the bridge with B flat 7. Okay. All right, now we're at the bridge. So I'm at B flat 7. And that just hangs out there for a while. I hear tell there's people out there who don't. And I'm going to go into the C minor 7, a lot of repeated chords. And what I'm going to do, or what I'm going to recommend that you, or have you try to do, it might be your habit to pick up. So if I'm going to go from this to this, it might be your habit to pick your fingers up off of this and then lay them back down where they're supposed to be. There's nothing wrong with that. But let's try it a different way. So I've already got this fret barred, and I'm going to end up with the same finger barred just up the neck a little bit. So what I would normally do in this situation is when it's time to go, I would slide it up. So so you kind of get that. It's a little bit like if I was wearing one of those cylinders on my finger, where they kind of play slidey. I don't know what you can call that up the neck. So you kind of get that sound. If you pick up, it just kind of you're playing one thing, and there's no kind of transition. If I do it this way, see how you get that kind of it bends up. All right, so I'm going to suggest you try that. If you don't do that already, I'm going to suggest you try that. So just kind of at speed, B flat 7. I hear tell there's people out there who don't know what losing you means. Just one more time. I hear tell there's people out there who don't know what losing you means. Okay. And now the next part of that bridge is going to call for me to walk this down to a C7. So if I was just looking at the sheet and doing it, what I would first, the first position chords, I'd be tell there's people out there who don't know what losing you means. And I'm going to walk down. And if you're going to C7, you might automatically just do this. They don't have a heart, right? Again, I'm going to suggest you do something a little different. So starting here, and that's on this walk down. Know what losing you means. And then I'm going to suggest you play the C7th in second position, which is up here. And again, it's kind of very similar to what we did at the start of the bridge, right? Except I'm starting with sort of this major 7th shaped here. And then I'm going going to slide up to the 7th shape. Okay, so let's see how that works. And the reason this works is the chord shape. So if that's your B7 there, right? Remember, we slid it back to get the B flat 7. And then just the same way, if I slide it up, I get C7. That's a different way, another way to play C7. That's a movable shape, right? See, C7, C7, same thing. What losing you means. They don't have a heart, it just falls apart at the mention. Okay, we're gonna get that later. So let's do that one more time. What losing you means. And then slide up to C7. Oops. They don't have a heart, it just falls apart at the mention. I'm in F7 here. And then mention. And then we're just going to throw a diminished chord in here to have something interesting to do. Of your name. I'm just going to end up back at F7. So in this part of the bridge, you could just play the mention of your name. See, I'm playing the F7 the whole way through, and it's fine. But if you play that diminished now, you get a much cooler sound. It's the musicality is more varied, right? So, at the mention of your name, and it's very similar to something that I do a lot. Is even whether the chords are movable or not. If I'm laying one finger chords, this doesn't work with. But if I'm laying 2 or more fingers down, and I've got a spot, oftentimes you can just slide back and slide forward. So if I'm playing a G, if I'm just hanging out on G, sometimes it works to just slide back for a beat and come back. Right? So this is similar to that. So if you think about it, I'm playing F7 here. Now let's just say I just did the slide. And now I'm getting to E7 here, of your name, which is fine. So you could do that. Mention of your name. It's a similar technique. But if you look at the chord charts, so if you look at E7 and you look at the diminished chord, it's very similar. And with that diminished chord, it's just kind of I feel like it's just a much richer sound, right? So it's a very similar effect to just bending that chord back a fret, but it's close to a diminished chord. I'm just let's try to see if the diminished worked. Well, lo and behold, look how great that sounds. Right? So that's why I picked that, to give you something to do, and while you're just sitting there playing F7 for a whole measure, let's break it up with a diminished chord and slide back. Okay. So let's just do the bridge slowly at speed so you get an idea. So we're starting at the B flat 7. I hear tell there's people out there who don't know what losing you means. They don't have a heart that just falls apart at the mention of your name. All right, so that's the bridge, and we'll play that again later on, but it's exactly the same. So from exiting the bridge at F7, I'm gonna go back into the start of the verse with that B flat walk down. Okay, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on this because we've done it before. So I'm gonna come from the F7. I heard they pretend the world didn't end the moment I knew you were gone. Again, and then the same thing with that C minor 7th walk down. Knew you were gone. I guess life still goes on. On's your word. Beyond the blue neon. Do the vamp here. So now I'm going into the solo, which is just, again, verse chord, just the same as the verse chords. There's nothing different. At the end, we're going to play the end that transitions into the bridge, because when I pick up singing again, I'll be in the bridge. Okay, so beyond the blue neon, the vamp here. Now into the solo. Just back up here to this high B flat, right? Do 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 into the bridge part, so I'm going to go to the A. I do my A here. You could do your A back here. B flat, B major 7, B flat 7. I'm going to just do the bridge again. I hear tell there's people out there who don't know what losing you means. They don't have a heart that just falls apart at the mention of your name. Then the last verse, again, same thing. The high B flat walk down. It's 1:45, and I don't have a clue what I'll do from now until dawn. I wonder what's going on beyond the blue. Okay, now I'm going into the outro or the ending of the song. And I'm going to do that walk down with no singing. So I'm going to come back up to the high B flat. On the blue neon. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. C minor 7. What's going on? And at this point, I start slowing down. Beyond the, and I use a new chord here. I use a C diminished. Blue. See, instead of that F7, I'm gonna, it's sort of a clue to the audience. It's something that we're wrapping up, and it just sounds super cool. Blue neon, and we're gonna end on B flat major 7. But I'm gonna do this. You could just end off like that, and that's great to do. I'm gonna do a little picky intro that's pretty picky outro that's pretty easy. So take it from the C minor 7. Beyond the C diminished. Blue, and that's just that B diminished up a fret. C diminished, blue neon. I'm gonna make my B flat major 7 shape. And now I'm going to just pick the strings individually slowly. That's called arpeggio from the top string. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my B flat major 7 chord shape. I'm just going to move all those fingers down a string. And I'm going to skip that top string and start at the second string. And I'm going to pull my index finger off and pluck that A string again. And then I'm going to go up to that a high B flat to end up. Okay, let's see. Let's put that all together. Beyond C minor 7. Beyond the blue C diminished. Neon B flat major 7. Move down a fret. Set of strings. Oh, sorry. Take your finger off. Pluck. Then go back to that B flat. Okay, let's see if I can do that without screwing up. Beyond the blue neon. right, and that's the song. So I hope you find this helpful, and I hope you find the song easier to play than you thought. At first glance, you look at it and you know people freak out and go, "Oh, I can't do that." But I think this song is a great next level song for advanced beginners or any intermediate players to kind of stretch your comfort zone and to take your uke playing to the next level. So I hope you have fun with it. I sure had fun putting the video together and coming up with the arrangement, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.